Welcome back to the podcast. What are we seeing today? Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday at 9:03 a.m. Central Time. What are we seeing?
We're seeing a lot of people dogging because of the time change. We are seeing
Yeah.
some green on the screen though. It's kind of nice. It's been kind of brutal watching the stocks lately pull back. So it's nice to see those. I mean, they're not a ball of fire by any means this morning, but at least they're not getting beat up 600-700 points. So
Yeah.
that's good to see. Cattle are green right now by $1. Hogs are rebounding a little bit. Corn's starting to take it in the shorts a little bit. A little bit concerned about that. Might just be a slight correction. Hopefully we get a pull back to that 200-day moving average near 456, 457, and then maybe bounce from there again. A lot of talk about corn, tariffs, EU, all of that. So I think that's weighing on the grains this morning. Not surprisingly, that also helps feeder cattle. Gives us a lift there. So seeing feeders up $1.50 is good today. Once again, got some new all-time record highs at the moment. I think we need to look at doing something with that before it goes away. So, yeah, a lot more people catching their breath this morning, I would say.
Which is good because we were not catching our breath earlier this week on a lot of things that were going on. Can you explain a little bit more of what we're seeing in feeders?
Yeah, I mean, feeders being up there, you could step out to the summer feeder cattle contracts. We're looking at, like August trading 284 and a quarter right now. That's pretty wild. We've never had the index that high, so you're able to step out there with feeder cattle LRP and cover your butt for the summer. These, summer yearlings, calves, even beyond that into the fall at prices of, record high prices above where we've ever achieved. So I definitely think that warrants a look there. It comes down to, Lauren, the supply is still an issue. Everybody's concerned about demand because of the stock market, because of slowdown in the economy, tariffs, all this and that, beef demand. But when it comes down to the supply, looking back towards the month of February, I believe looking at feeder cattle auctions, looking at video auctions, I want to say those numbers were down roughly 30%, plus or minus. So that's obviously bullish if those numbers weren't getting placed. Mexican feeder cattle imports was another one where, I believe those numbers were down somewhere between 25 and 50% compared to last year. Obviously, tight cow herd, tight numbers, that's what's keeping these prices sky high. It feels like, this market never wants to turn around and go down, obviously because everybody's bullish on that supply side. But once again, we need to not be complacent and realize there is a demand picture here we got to fight. So grilling season's right around the corner. I think this is the nicest day we've had in Iowa since last year. So I'm pretty optimistic. Can't wait to get back outside this afternoon. Fire up those grills, get some beef on them. I'm pretty optimistic for what's coming around the corner.
Absolutely. It is a gorgeous day here in Kansas, and I am going to be putting my lawn chair outside actually today and probably working on the front porch because
There you go.
you know what? I can. And
Exactly.
it's gorgeous. And we're going to take it while we can because I'm sure I'll have Gary back on Monday and he's going to be like, yeah, it's going to get cold again, Lauren. So enjoy it while you can. So, I'm going to
Yep. Big
enjoy
hurricane
it.
coming in this weekend. It sounds like who would have
Oh,
thought,
gosh. I know. In spring break too. I'm like, oh, have fun down there, Midwestern
Right.
kids. Enjoy
Exactly.
yourselves.
I agree. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
we'll take the good weather while we got it. No wind and sunshine here in March is pretty phenomenal.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yep.
Well, what else are we seeing in the market? Anything highs, lows, anything else on cattle that we're kind of seeing right now?
Weights are still concerning. I think the market has made some adjustments because of it. Obviously, we're not killing as many, but our production is staying high, beef-wise. I'd like to see those weights drop, but plain and simple, you've got cheap feed and you have high-priced feeder cattle, so the feedlots are not incentivized to sell at lighter weights right now. So I don't anticipate with this kind of weather seeing those weights come down, in a big way. I think we're going to run this 30 to 35 pounds, maybe 40 pounds over last year's or normal. So, we need to be mindful of that combined with, beef imports. All that adds to production of beef, which in the end, we have to weigh against demand. Do we need this much production, against the demand we have? So, I mean, that's stuff we're keeping a close eye on. Like I said, grilling season right around the corner, so I don't normally want to get too nervous leading into grilling season. If we could keep the Dow from crashing 700 points every day for the next 2 months, I think we got a shot at having a good second quarter.
Oh, absolutely. I think that across markets, everyone's hoping that we can prevent it from doing that. So I don't think that we're alone in the cattle industry looking at the markets right now and kind of crossing our fingers and our toes and hoping that, things continue to just maybe level out a little bit. We don't even need them to go up right now. Let's hit a plateau.
Agreed.
A plateau
Agreed.
would be real cool right now.
Yeah. Corrections in the market are healthy things. What we don't need to see is a correction to zero.
Exactly.
Let's just pump the brakes here for a little bit. Realize everybody's still going to work. Everybody's still going shopping. It's going to work out. But yeah, it's definitely a concern. Traders are watching it. So I don't want to see the cattlemen get complacent because we are bullish for second quarter grilling season, or we're bullish because, summer looks like we're going to have tighter numbers, than we did even last year. I don't want to be complacent. I want everybody to consider that demand side of that picture. So,
Yeah.
I think like I mentioned, LRP at a record high price on feeders is probably not a bad idea.
Oh, 1,000%. Can you explain a little bit more on that for anyone listening?
Yeah, so I mean, LRP acts just like a subsidized. It's basically a subsidized put. So, you're setting a floor. If the market decided they want, feeder cattle are going to go to $3 this summer, great. We gave up, let's just say $6, $7, $8 a hundredweight for the premium. Not the end of the world when you're talking about record high prices and the profitability that would be at those levels if we were to touch that 300. If the market decided to turn around and go back down to 250, all of a sudden my 280 LRP has a $30 claim attached to it. So I'm redeemed back to that 280 level. So I just don't want people, forgetting that the cattle market can go down. It is not the stock market that some people joke can't. There's still a supply and demand when it comes to a commodity like cattle. So, if feed yards start seeing some red ink, those feeder cattle are going to have to get cheaper. I don't know when, Lauren. Obviously, a crystal ball would sure help, but timing is everything. And, for those who have waited to start LRP, now's a good time to get started at those record high prices. For those who put coverage on, let's just say $10 or $15 ago they got started. Maybe step in and add a few more here up at these record high prices. And for those guys that put all their coverage on already, give us a shout. There are ways we can roll your coverage up to these levels. It's LRP is a set it and forget it type program, but it doesn't have to be. You can step in, use options on the board to roll your coverage up. So we encourage people to pick up that phone and call us, and we'd be more than happy to look at that for them.
Oh, 1,000%. I know we don't have a crystal ball, although we wish we did. What are you kind of anticipating for maybe the rest of this spring, going into summer a little bit? Are you guys kind of seeing any trends that we should be watching out for? Just any thoughts on that?
Economy healthy. I am anticipating some new record highs. Economy not healthy. I am anticipating, a downtrend. The government is still fighting inflation. You look at tariffs, you look at everything they're doing right now. It is a deflationary mode. Cattle eventually will be included in that deflation. Once again, crystal ball, it's all about timing, but eventually we're going to have to see prices deflate, to match demand. It's been a good run. I don't know when it stops. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic right now, but it's coming. We just don't know when.
Absolutely. Well, anything else that we need to cover today, or we feel like we hit the ball on the hit the nail on the head on
You did
everything?
a great job, Lauren, as always.
Okay.
Great
Well,
job.
thank you. Perfect. You don't need to inflate my ego, but I appreciate it. Alrighty. Well, to all of our listeners out there, make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review. Let us know if you guys have any questions in the comments or anything like that you want Dan and I to discuss next time. And as always, thank you for being here, and we'll see y'all tomorrow on another episode. We'll see y'all.